Hey guys, so I just went and harvested my mullein out of the greenhouse. And this leaf is a little bit bigger than what is optimal. What you want, see if I can find the perfect leaf. What you want is something closer to this. It's much, much grayer. This one's even better. And much, much fuzzier. You want it at its rosette stage rather than its big old leaf stage. But I'm going to harvest the big leaves anyway because they're still a little bit fuzzy. And we go through this a lot if we're around normal people. So this is my food pantry dehydrator. It's my open air dehydrator. And this is what it looks like. I'm just going to show it to you before I move it away. That's what it looks like, except that it's supposed to open. All my trays are here. Oh, the other thing I wanted to show you. Let's see if I can find my zipper. Sorry, and my nose is a little runny. I've been out in the long grass. So I'll try not to snort and sniff too much. These little strings, I have had to take them and glue gun them to the rims because otherwise all my little trays fall off and it's a real pain in the butt. And I know I've shown this to you guys who've been with me a long time. I've already shown it to you. I don't wash these in between because I don't put meat on them. What I put on them is fruits and vegetables, herbs. When you're doing comfrey, they have this rib in them. And what you want to do is split your way down that rib, because if you don't, that's the part that won't dehydrate properly. So you just want to open it up and split it down that rib. I learned that from Rico at Horizon Herbs, who I get all my herbs from, all my herb seeds. I'm sorry. Let me blow my nose for a second. And those of you who saw my last video, this is the reason why I use those lotion bars, is because when you're doing all this food prep, you really need things to stay clean. And so I am washing my hands a lot, so those lotion bars are just a lifesaver. I don't wash these when I bring them in because they were out in the greenhouse. I know they were clean. And I don't want to get them wet just before I dry them. And the other thing is I'm using them in tea. I'm going to pour boiling water over them and sit for 5 minutes. So I'm not saying don't wash them. I'm just saying that I don't. And I also do my perennial herb boxes with lots of herbs in them because they hold the water in better. And see that dust? I can just pick that off. Sorry, I think that was my hat that just got in there. So that one I might actually rinse off. That one I think I'll rinse. This one is perfect. It's thick, it's fuzzy. I prefer mullein that has been out in the wild. I prefer wild mullein to grown mullein because they love dry conditions, and it seems like a lot of the plants, the herbs, that are really good medicinals actually grow in harsh conditions without water in rocky soil. They just don't have an easy life of it, and it seems that that's kind of a trend among the really good herbal medicinal herbs. So I don't really like to grow them in the greenhouse where they're protected. I prefer to go get them out wildcrafting. But if I can't find a good spot for wildcrafting, I still want to have this in my home pharmacy for fall use. Fall and winter use. And so this is just me hedging my bets. Probably not a real good way to put that. It's me just making sure that I have some, just in case. So I have a really, really hot deck. They put it on the south side next to a wall that is very white, and so we get a ton of heat on that deck. We never ever use it in the summer because it just is too hot, and the yellow jackets love it. But it's the perfect place for our smokehouse and our greenhouse. So I'm going to move the camera a bit and take it outside and show you how I hang this. Okay, so I know some of you guys have already seen this, but this is our smokehouse. I'll try to pan. This is our smokehouse. We made it with the leftover wood from the deck. We have an enormous deck. And again, we can't use it in the summer. It's just too hot out here. There's no shade. It's on the south side, and we always have full sun. So we made a smokehouse, and then I brought out a shelving hook. See if I can point to it. The shelving elbow right there. I came out and attached that. And this dehydrating tray thing setup was $50. I think we bought it 8 years ago. These are the trays. And again, I took hot glue and attached these strings to the trays because otherwise the trays fall out. I don't like to be out here much because we get a lot of yellow jackets. So I'm just going to show you while I load up the rest of the trays. This keeps bugs out of it. I've done this with fruit leather. I've done it with sliced fruit, all my herbs. This is how I dry them. And it just works really, really well. But you need a place that has lots of air, lots of sunshine, and lots of heat. So I will leave this here until they're crunchy. I will fill it all the way up. I'll probably go harvest some other herbs to put in it. Probably some mint from the front yard. And I wanted to show you how else I've retrofitted my deck for my needs. So of course we have the greenhouse, or not the greenhouse, the smokehouse. Even the door was harvested from a friend. And so that's there. Underneath, this is where I keep the cages for the little rabbits because it's much cooler than out in the open. And then this is what I wanted to show you now. I have this milk box here in this intense heat because I put my yogurt in it to get my yogurt to culture because it's too cool in the house to get it to culture, and it keeps it from getting in the sunlight. It's about 110 degrees in there, which is the perfect temperature for yogurt. So I'm kind of excited about that, and I can't. And did you guys want to see what the girls have done? They found a couple of birds' nests and put quail eggs in them, hoping that they would hatch. So anyway, there's that. So this is next to our front door. I'm going to come and harvest some mint. It's a good spot because of course the hose always leaks, but I'm very careful to rinse it from this spot because in the winter this is where we clean our boots off when we come in from the barn. Also, I have nettles that I need to harvest. I really wanted to harvest the seeds this year. The seeds are supposed to be an adaptogen, which means that when you take them, they allow you to adapt to high stress situations. Now, they're not something that'll fix adrenal glands, and they do not replace a good square meal. Okay, so it's not like that kind of thing. They will build up your adrenal glands as long as you are feeding yourself and taking care of yourself. So there's one more thing to add to my drying rack, but I do need to get on some gloves to do this one. So this is my motherwort and my official comfrey. So official comfrey is the one that is blossoming right here. And these are the motherwort. I'm going to just take a couple off. I'm pretty sure that I'm supposed to use the flowers and leaves when it's first blossoming out as far as the motherwort goes. Look at my bee. So that's why I have all this planted, is for the bees. So I'm going to just take some sprigs of motherwort, if I can. I don't really know if I can. Some sprigs of motherwort. They're supposed to be good for let's see, is it premenopausal? I think it's premenopausal symptoms as well as heart. That's what I've been told. I've never used them, and they're very prickly. It's like trying to touch a prickle. So I don't have premenopausal problems, and I believe, what are you? That must be where the flowers have fallen off. So those must be the seed spots for the official borage, or official comfrey. Anyway, so there's my motherwort. I have more in other herbs and other various and sundry places, but I'm not harvesting any of it today, just the stuff that I can remember that I have. Oh, I also have cleavers and thyme. There's my thyme. Of course, my lovage, my wormwood. I want to take some cleavers. It's supposed to be a good spring tonic, and even though it's not spring right now, I'm going to pull some. This is from last year. Okay. I know this looks really horrible, but I ran out of space in the greenhouse, and so I pulled everything out. My quail pen, my frost protection, my rabbit manure tea bucket, everything is out. And I'm so encouraged because thank you guys for the greenhouse. Look at this. I've taken as many of the perennial herb boxes as I can out. Some of them I want to leave them in here just to see how they do. But the reason I wanted to talk to you in here today is because I'm really excited. This is my milk thistle, and it's getting ready to seed. And it's really, really good for your liver, is my understanding. And the part of the milk thistle that you eat is the seeds. You grind them up and you eat them, and they cleanse your liver so that if you're having allergies or your liver is under distress, it helps you with that. And oh my gosh, this thing attacks me every time I come in here. I think it's gorgeous, but I should have planted it out in the garden in the backyard. And I'm going to, as soon as it seeds, I'm going to take some of the seeds and plant them in some of my perennial beds, because it's enormous. It's crowding out my dill. I have cucumbers here growing. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to talk to you about. Okay, so the straw bale gardens, I don't care for them as beginning things in. Oh my gosh, you really have to baby it. Okay, so I planted these cucumbers at the same time that I planted the onions that are in this one that I took apart. I couldn't keep enough water in it. I couldn't get it to decompose quickly enough. And they just kind of sat in there. But, you know, they went from being kind of yellowish to being kind of greenish. And so I kept watering them. And this tomato is a tomato that I cut back to the ground. Like, it was here and it got frozen and it was unhappy. So I just clipped it off. Well, it's come back from the roots. And it looks so healthy. And so what I am finding works excellently is rabbit manure tea. Lots of rabbit manure dissolved into the tea, let it sit for a week, and then water with that in these straw bales. That helps combat the carbon, helps the soil establish faster. And when I put them in, I put dirt on the base where I put the seeds in, and it seems to make a really big difference. And then the other thing that I did, oh, I'm so excited about this, guys. Okay, so I moved this perennial box into my backyard. Hi, quail. I moved this perennial box into my backyard, and I didn't remember that I had a tomato. I don't know how I missed it because there was a string coming out of it. Hi. Where are you going? Did you need to get around me? Anyway, sorry for the interruption. Okay, so what ended up happening is when I pulled the perennial box out, because the string was tied to that tomato, the whole tomato like came out, the roots and everything. It didn't hurt the tomato, but I had this swinging ball of dirt and tomato roots hanging from that rope. See? I'm like, oh no. And I didn't have any potting soil, so what I did is I took that straw bale apart and set it underneath the roots so that the roots were supported, and then I stacked more pieces of old decomposing straw on top and to the sides of those roots. And I did this a week ago. You can see that the tomato didn't die. I don't know that it's like happier than it was before, but it didn't die. And I've been pouring rabbit manure tea on top of the straw so that it will retain moisture, because in the straw bales, that's your big thing. You need to retain that moisture. So it looks fine. It looks just fine. So that's kind of exciting, as maybe a new way to do things. Not necessarily do it in the straw bale, but do it in lieu of like a box of dirt once the roots are well established. I don't know. One thing I'm having a struggle with is I have all these weeds against the side that I need to keep coming through and pulling out because they are blocking the sunlight. That's how I got stung today by stinging nettle, because I forgot that I had planted stinging nettle in one of my boxes. And then I just throw all the weeds on the ground and it starts to mulch the ground. We harvested our first carrots out of a box. Let's see, when was it? Yesterday, the day before yesterday. Darn it, that's not what I wanted. Pull. And I'm just thinning it out a little bit. But you can see they look really good. And I've had a really hard time keeping enough water in with the kohlrabi. I don't know if they take a lot of moisture because they get so big and leafy, but the tomatoes have been a lot easier to keep water in. And it hasn't been good to have the kohlrabi planted with the tomatoes because they are fighting for the same airspace as far as sunlight coming in and that kind of thing. But I have so many tomatoes right now, I don't really care as much as I probably should. Some of the kohlrabi look pretty good, and but they don't look fantastic. I mean, I've grown kohlrabi before and I've done a good job at it, and I've grown tomatoes before and I've done a good job at it, but this is my test garden. The reason I'm doing a test garden is because, hooray, I now have a greenhouse. But if I came in here and put boxes of, raised beds and gravel or sawdust or anything at this point, I could be making a huge mistake. What I'm trying to do right now, remember when we first started that everything was planted right here? And very close. And then from there, I did it just as a center lane. I did that. And then from there, I was like, yeah, they're still not getting enough sunlight. And so then I spread it into 3 rows. And what I'm trying to do is figure out the way that I want to have my layout and what kind of gardening method I prefer in the greenhouse. Do I like it in the cardboard boxes? Do I prefer it in straw bales? Do I prefer it in completely intact straw bales? Do I prefer trying to just grow it in the dirt? I haven't tried to grow it in the dirt yet because I can't get through the rocks to actually dig a hole. But once I get enough moisture and enough mulch in here, I should be able to. You can see that my beans are not happy. Pardon me while I eat a carrot. They're not happy. I don't think they like being in there with the beets. Which is fine. Again, I'm learning. I have grown green beans before and I've done a good job at it. But I think what's happening is I'm having a hard time keeping moisture in that particular box. My favorite boxes, I'm going to show you my favorite boxes, are these boxes. They don't have a cutout. They're extremely tough. They're very, very sturdy. And what's even better than these kind of boxes is the 2 boxes like this, one inside the other. They hold the moisture in. I had to do that on this one, and it's been much happier. It just, that extra support holds the moisture in. And the self-watering containers I don't like. The cardboard is not breaking down, it's not feeding the plant. They're staying warmer than my other plants. I have to water them more often than my other plants. And I have the water coming out of the little holes. I don't want the water coming out of the little holes. I want it to stay in there. My mom really, really likes these. I get that. And with these, I would never have a problem with weeds coming up and getting through them. So it's just, that's why I'm doing this. I'm learning how I want to garden in the greenhouse. And yeah, there's lots of weeds. They come up super, super fast in here. But all I have to do is go along and just pull them up with my hand, and it's just not a big deal. The problem with them is that they do absorb the sunlight and block some of the sunlight from the plants. And so when it starts to get up, when I notice it is when I'm having a hard time seeing the plants. See, there's a morning glory, but it's not a big deal just to pull it out. And so when it starts to make it so the sunlight can't really get to the plants, that's when I come through and pull it up, if I can. Some of it is quite resilient and strong. Yeah, so, and it is adding mulch to my walkways. So Anyway, so I have gobo burdock, lemon balm, mullein, elecampane, milk thistle, dill. I also have something in here that I believe is self-heal or maybe skullcap. And I've got wormwood in there. I've got so much in here. I have to be so careful because when I came out and got the mullein out of that box today, I got nettled. So I forgot that it was there. My younger quail are a lot friskier and less friendly than the ones that were in my house for a while. I hope you don't mind if I just kind of wander around and try and remember what I came out here for. Hi, little one. I think he's the one that I stepped on earlier today. Or yesterday. I stepped on him. I didn't know he was right there at the door. I don't think you're finished with your stuff yet. Have you done your dishwasher?
No.
Okay, you need to take your school books in. They may not be out here.
I know. Mom, your time.
Thank you. I will come in. Okay. I came out here to get lemon balm. Okay, I'll have to get lemon balm later.